Next faction I want to take a look at are the Klingons. They're the most aggressive race, I think, in the ones that are available right now. Probably rivaled only by the Dominion. Most of their ships have a really high offensive value, medium to high defense value. A lot of them rely on their cloak for their defensive, but definitely high in the offensive. They're basically the point at the enemy and blow things up, where a lot of the other ones require some sort of strategy or a combination. These ships here, my Klingon fleet's a little smaller than my other ones. The ships from here over that you can see there are basically the ones that I own. My son started playing Klingons, so I kind of cut into my collection to help him out. These other 6 over here are actually HeroClick models that I converted over just for home use, so I can have extras. If you look, there you can see it's just a peg glued on the bottom there, and they fit perfectly on the attack wing bases. But yeah, they're just for home use. So like I was saying, these over here are my actual Klingon fleet. As far as their ships go, they're all pretty usable. The original D7 is a piece of junk. Granted, the time period it came from, if you're playing TOS only ships, it's not that horrible. Comes with some good upgrades, but the ship itself can't cloak, has a low attack value. It's not a great ship. Like I said, if you're playing TOS only games, it can be a viable option. I probably would never use it other than that. The same goes for the Raptor. As much as I love the model for the Raptor, it is a cool looking ship. The lack of a cloak or any real power in it, it means it limits it to only being good for TOS and Enterprise era battles. So the Enterprise is coming out here soon. So as far as the others go, the Katinka class, which I'm not even sure which is which. I think that's the D7, that's the Katinka. They use the same model even though the ships aren't supposed to look alike, which drives me nuts. The Katinka class was the newer updated version. It's supposed to be slightly bigger, more armor, more weapons, and it can cloak. That one's a very viable ship. I've seen those used very effectively. The standard bird of prey, great ship. The Vorcha, probably the best ship that the Klingons have, which is kind of funny because it's the one that came in the starter set. That is an amazing ship. I would definitely run multiples of those. A fleet of 3 of those can take on just about anything. The Negvar in the center there, it's got a cool ability, kind of situational, useful. The ship itself is great, it has a really strong, but I think I would take the Vorcha over the Negvar unless you're using the named version and it has that cool ability that lets you drain shields. I am missing the Chitang, which is the other bird of prey. It was an OP prize for month 2 of the Dominion War. I didn't win one. Came with some really good cards. Martok with a Captain Skill 9. Defense Condition 1, which lets you put Battle Station token on nearby ships. And of course Barrage of Fire. Definitely some of the best stuff, which is why this ship is going for so much right now. I may be getting my hands on one here soon. I have in talks to trade for one, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, if you can warrant buying it for the price that it goes for on eBay, it's worth picking up if you're a Klingon player. Hopefully they'll release those things to the public sometime. I don't see it happening. WizKids has a reputation for not doing that, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But even without it, the Klingons are still a playable force. For captains, you got a decent here. Even if you don't have the Chitang, you still got a Captain Skill 8 Martok who gives nearby ships a free action. Or a nearby ship a free action, I should say. Definitely worth taking. Some of the other ones, kind of situational. Goran as an action can basically do what Denatra does for free. Damn those Romulans. There's a lot of useful ones in here. They all have different abilities. Martok and Gorwin are probably the best 2, at least for me. Worf is a pretty good one. Your main thing is going to be an offense, so the higher captain skill you can take, you'll be able to shoot first. Shooting first is always good, especially with the Klingons with their high attack values. If you can blow up one or more enemy ships before they get a chance to even shoot, all the better. Crew-wise, the Klingons have a few options. Nothing stellar or completely outstanding. Alexander is nice for getting battle station tokens. Buka and there's somebody else I can't remember who lets you repair, which is good. Definitely one of the better choices. Drex lets you convert battle stations into hits or criticals, I can't remember. Into criticals. So yeah, there's some good options in there. Your main firepower in the Klingons is going to be straight up shooting at people. You have some cool secondary weapons, but the main thing is going to be your main attack. And we got our secondary weapons. Your standard photon torpedoes. Magnetic pulse, I don't see getting used as often as I would think it would be used. It's a decent attack. If you roll criticals against an opponent's shield, it actually does damage to the hull instead. So, interesting idea. Concussive charges I see getting used more and more. Successful hits from concussive charges knock tokens off of the ship that you're shooting at. Amazing if you can get a hit in on a ship that is cloaked, because it knocks the cloak token off, but their shields don't come back up till the end of the turn. So they no longer get the +4 bonus, and they have no shields. Definitely worth it on those, I think. I see them getting used more and more, especially now with more and more custom, or not really custom, but more and more specialized abilities basing around those tokens. Removing those tokens is always a plus. But yeah, there's not a lot of variety in secondary weapons. Your primary in most of the Klingon ships is high enough where it's not going to matter. Probably one of the best Klingon upgrades comes with the starter set, I believe, is the advanced weapon systems. You can disable this to not flip your token over when you fire your weapons that turn. So basically it lets you stay cloaked so your opponent can't get a target lock on you, and still fire your weapons at the cost of taking an extra turn to re-enable this. Projected stasis field, I see getting a lot more use. It's a great way to basically freeze up an enemy so that you can pummel them with your other ships. I see it getting a lot of use against Borg to lower their thick shields there, so your rest of your fleet can beat the crap out of them. The downside is it also lowers the shield on the ship doing it, so you're a sitting duck while it's going on. That's pretty much it as far as useful. The tractor beam has its uses. Some of the other ones that are halfway decent, like the EM Pulse and that, are limited to the Raptor only, which isn't that great of a ship, so I don't see them getting much use. Like I said, the main thing for your Klingons is going to be your primary weapon attack. And our Klingon flagship here gives you Cloak, where most of your ships already have Cloak. That's going to make cloaking a free action, which is amazing because you can fire and recloak every turn. The other thing where it can be useful is you can put this on the Raptor or the D7 if for some reason you ever take a D7. Definitely worth taking on the Raptor to give it the ability to cloak. Then it becomes a pretty viable ship. Letting all your friendly ships within range 1 to 2 convert one of their blanks into a hit means that you're always going to be doing at least one hit, which is nice. You get an extra crew and a tech slot. Not that terribly amazing. I mean, you could use this free tech slot to throw on a advanced weapon system to make sure that cloak sticks if you're putting it on the Raptor. +1 offense, definitely worth it. +1 hull. Your mileage may vary on the thing, but definitely a good option, especially if you want to take the Raptor to get some of those special tech upgrades that can only be put on the Raptor. This is the way to do it, so you can make it cloak so it can actually live more than a turn. All in all, I find the Klingons are pretty straightforward to play. They're a great way to teach new players because there isn't a lot of complicated interactions between abilities and cards to learn. They are basically a point them at the enemy and blow stuff up. Cloaking gives you a little bit of an option. You can use sensor echo and whatnot once you're cloaked. Not as necessary with them as it is with, say, the Romulans, but definitely it's there as an option for more advanced players. But even a beginner can take a Klingon force and just start beating the crap out of things. Great for learning positioning. All of their ships have a relatively easy to understand maneuver dial. They're all very maneuverable. Even the gigantic Negvar, surprisingly maneuverable ship. The Klingon faction has these really cool red bases that you can get. Very cool looking. I know a lot of people who use these even for other factions just because they look so neat. And definitely when they're on the field under the right lighting, they kind of glow. And they have that red tinge around the edges. It makes them look really neat and menacing. And one of the neat things, and of course they didn't make them in all the ships, but I found this kind of fun, is that they have a Cloaked D7 Katinka, which is actually the one. This is actually the ship that they based the models for Attack Wing on, and it's hard to see with it being clear, but if you can see right there, it has the sideways bridge, where the original HeroClick model that was in color had the bridge going the right way, but this is the one that they used to make the Attack Wing models. It has a little bit less detail than the other one too in here. This section up here, the engineering, I think it is all one piece, where on the other models it was two. So they went with it because it was a cheaper model, but what's neat is you can take these and use them if you play at home games for fun, or if you're taking pictures or video. They make great representations of cloaked ships. They have them in several different styles. There's a Defiant. There's the D7. I'm trying to think of what other ones they came in. Unfortunately, they didn't make a cloaked bird of prey, which is kind of silly. But anyway, the Klingons, a very good offensive force. Defensive-wise, they can hold their own. Definitely, you're going to be relying on cloaks a lot of the time. Their ships don't have a lot of shields, so the cloak is going to be your main defense. With the Klingons, you're going to want to stay cloaked, and then once you take a hit or two, uncloak to let your shield soak up. The Klingon ships lack a lot of shielding, so once you take a hit or two, you're probably not going to be able to cloak anymore because you're going to be out of shields. There are a few crewmen that will let you repair things, but it's not the situation you want to get into. Your main thing with Klingons is going to be to try to get the highest skill captains you can, because you want to be able to shoot first. And like I was saying earlier, if you can blow up your enemy before they get a chance to shoot back, all the better. If you want to get a little more tactical with them, using sensor echo to try to slide in around out of your opponent's fire arc, that way you don't have to worry about wasting an action to recloak if you don't need to, or using the flagship to get the free cloak, things like that. Advanced weapon systems to stay cloaked. Against like a Federation opponent who's going to be trying to get target locks to use their secondary weapons, advanced weapon system is a great idea. Anytime that you don't uncloak to allow them to get a target lock is that much better for you. It also lets you use their blind spots in their rear fire arcs where they can't shoot back at you if they don't have an arc. You do need to watch out for things like mines, other hazards like that bypass your cloak. The Jemadar suicide attack is another one. You still get your evasion against that, but you do not gain the benefit of the cloak. So you got to watch out for things like that. All in all, they're a good force, very offensive. They're definitely for the more aggressive player. And I will see you in the next video.